Problems that had plagued them before, Sneferu's engineers pursued a more gradual angle of inclination on the Red Pyramid, and they also strengthened its foundation by using large blocks of superior limestone.
The blocks now have grown enormously in size, and the builders are confident about moving and putting into place huge blocks of stone weighing several tons rather than the smaller blocks that were used in the step pyramid.
To haul each stone to its final location, a team of 20 men pulled it on a wooden sled over a ramp made of mud, rock, and rubble. Water was poured in front of the runners to reduce friction on the way up. 4,600 years later, debate still rages on how these mud ramps were configured. There are three prevailing theories. The first is that one massive straight ramp was built on one side of the pyramid. Theory 2 is that there was a system of spiraling ramps that wrapped around it. And the third theory assumes a combination of the first two.
We will never find evidence about this ramp around the pyramid. Everyone has his own theory, but we really cannot decide 100% how it really looked like.
After all the rough stones were stacked and the capstone placed on top, an outer casing of high-quality white limestone was laid over the exterior. Builders started from the top and worked their way down, polishing the casing stones with copper chisels.
The finishing off of the outer casing of the pyramids must have been a highly skilled job. You can get a pretty good feel for what that must have been like at Dashur, at the bent pyramid, where you can stand at the bottom and look straight up the smooth casing, still today maintaining that straightness. And it's like looking up a sheet of glass.
It took 3 attempts and several decades, but in the end, Sneferu's quest for personal perfection succeeded brilliantly. The Red Pyramid behind me is the first true pyramid ever built. Not only did Sneferu's engineers crack the code in erecting a smooth and symmetrical monument, but they mastered the process of building large and open rooms inside of one.
The chambers inside Sneferu's Red Pyramid can still be accessed through an opening 92 feet up its north side. At the end of a long corridor that descends back down to ground level, the space opens up into the first of 3 rooms, built to house Sneferu's remains and all of his immortal treasures.
Building a huge chamber like this within the superstructure of a pyramid was a unique challenge to the ancient engineer because of the pressure from above of millions of tons of rocks forcing itself downward. So to disperse this pressure, Sneferu's builders came up with an ingenious engineering innovation, the core-belled vaulted ceiling.
They stepped in the sides gradually by about 10 centimeters each step, and so built a kind of inverted pyramid shape in the burial chamber roof. So you got to a narrow point along the top, which could be spanned very easily.
The room buried deepest within the Red Pyramid is the burial chamber, a sprawling space with a ceiling that rises 49 feet.
It was here in 1950 that the bones of a middle-aged male were discovered, but there were no accompanying inscriptions to identify it, so we have no idea who he was. Some Egyptologists believe that they were the bones of Sneferu himself. Others say no, that pharaoh was buried over in the bent pyramid because the bent pyramid has a more complete funeral complex around it. Whatever the case, we don't know what happened to Sneferu, and it's a mystery that may never be solved.
Sneferu's 3-decade reign ended around 2589 BC, but his burial monuments succeeded in securing his immortality. Excavations at Dashur have revealed that even 2,000 years after Sneferu's death, offerings of incense were still being left in